Hello Choosters, it's me Gav and welcome to another one of my videos. Today I thought we'd take a look at I wouldn't say a long lost project, but one that's been slumbering away in the background for probably the last 12 months, which is my 10mm League of Augsburg project. I've finally got a bit more terrain done, which is a group of woods that I've made up. Not gone exactly according to plan. I had all the great ideas of making these woods sitting probably I don't know, probably a couple of figures height off the table, magnetised, and having them so you could take the woods off and have the bases remaining, just so that your figures could go across them. Obviously not sitting them on the top of the trees or something, which you do see sometime in people's photographs. That all went out the window. I haven't got the time. Not so much the inclination, it's more the time. I thought if I don't get any more of this project done, it really will just ground to a complete halt and probably won't be resurrected for years. So, keep chipping away at it. So they do look more like large overgrown bramble bushes or rhododendron bushes more than woods. I'm quite sure the little fellas, if they stand on each other's shoulders, can look straight over the top of them. But I'm also restricted to the table size, which is just my kitchen table. It's only a solo project, so might do at some stage get a piece of plywood or something to sit on the top. But that's away in the distance. It's at the moment it's just playing it on whatever size kitchen table I've got, which I can't remember offhand, but it's not very big. So yeah, I needed just some small woods just to denote a wooded area really. So they're finally done. I've also had 2 regiments cleaned off in bags. These are 2 regiments of foot, and I purposely left them in bags and on my desk, alright, shoved to a corner under a load of other stuff, but they were in view and I knew it would annoy me enough that I'd have to paint them at some stage, and that stage came a couple of weeks ago. I started and they're painted. No, it doesn't take 2 weeks to paint 10mm regiments, but obviously you've seen some of the other stuff that I'm doing. A couple of bits that either I can't show you, or I've got those 28mm ancients that I'm doing, which will be on another video in a few days' time probably. So yeah, it's taken probably about 2 weeks to get the 2 10mm regiments of foot done, but they are done. They're freshly flocked. So if you'd like to join me at the table, and we'll have a look at them. So I'll catch you in there in a minute. Right guys, thanks for joining me at the bench. What we can see before us, supposedly, are little groups of woods. I think I'm a bit underwhelmed, to say the least, but hey, they are what they are. So that's my, let me see if we can get back a bit, and that's as far as I can go back on this. This is the largest of the piece. My usual cork flooring tiles pressed into service. You can still see some of the blue foam underneath, unfortunately. I was umming and ahhing whether to paint it, and I wish I had now, but sometimes you can rush something too, I should have had a bit more patience with them, but I just knew I hadn't done anything to the project for a while, and it was really some trees. I need to do some marshes next. And I'm just decided I haven't got the money for one of these battle mat things. So to denote hills, I'm probably going to have to get my finger out and make a couple of high points, I suppose. I'm a bit annoyed with the blue foam showing through a bit. It shows more when you're actually looking at it on a camera than it did when I was working on it yesterday. But I might try and bodge some brown painting amongst those, which I've done on a couple of bits, just to try and hide them. Again, they look more like giant bramble patches than they do woods, but they'll suffice for the moment. I've got to pick what I do is I use obviously I use clump foliage on these. Sometimes on the smaller ones, when I do the hedges, I use the little bushes. These are all from Woodland Scenics, but I've used a clump foliage on these. And what I do is obviously put a bit of blue foam, or you could put anything underneath them, I suppose. And I use the old stringy glue, the Yoo-hoo glue in the UK that we always used to make models with as kids. I just find trying to hold them on with white glue, they just all fall off. So and I didn't really want to use tacky glue on them, so yeah, that's how I do them. I put stinks the place out for about a day, but I put the old stringy glue on, put the clump foliage on, and then spray over some watered down PVA just to give them a bit of a harder wearing texture. You still lose the odd little bit, but not as much. So these are my woods. Now I'm going to have to bear with me 1 minute while I get these guys out of the way, and we'll get the couple of foot regiments in. The foot regiments I've had cleaned off for about 6 months, and I just, I thought, well, I've got enough figures, I don't really need to do any more, but I purposely left them in little bags where I could see them, so they'd annoy me enough that I would paint them, and that's what's happened. So this is my Jacobite regiment of foot. Look how teeny tiny they look from this distance. I will get closer to them in a moment. This one's Hugh McMahon's. McMahon's? Oh yeah, it is McMahon, I think. Well, hey. Now what I've done with this regiment is make it slightly ragtag, so some are in uniforms. I've put these guys where they haven't got enough muskets, so they've got the guys with the usual ploughshares tied onto their sticks. So some are in uniform, some partial, some without uniform at all. There is a fair bit of discussion going on that at this time that they were still, that the French were always getting through to Ireland with shipments of clothes and weapons and things, and modern thinking is now, were they really as ragtagged as you might think, or you might think, say, from the 15 rebellion or the 45 rebellion. The way I see it, I want to use these figures all round the time for the war in Ireland, and towards the end I would have thought surely they were scraping, literally people shoving them into a so-called regiment and then into the field. So I did want to show that. So as I say, I've given them civilian dress. That's your pike stand, that one, but obviously they've got a lack of pikes as well. And the guys are just turning up with their ploughshares on their sticks. So that's the Jacobite regiment of foot. Push these back a bit. And this is my Williamite regiment. King William, Prince of Orange. This one's obviously going to be a lot better uniformed and armed. Although most of the regiments, the Williamite English regiments, especially those that were already on the establishment, probably actually went with not with firelocks, with the it's escaped me again now. But the ones where they got the matchlock, that's that's the word I'm after, matchlock. They went to Ireland with a matchlock, but they reckon there could well be some that this is one of the later regiments raised, and they may well have had flintlocks. These guys, I've just put matchlocks on. To be honest with you, I paint what comes out, whatever bag my hand reaches to. I'm not particularly phased with who got what, because they really don't know. Apart from a few, like some of the Guards regiments, they've got written, saying what they actually, whether they had matchlocks or flintlocks. Got the Grenadiers there on the end. These got the solid red jackets, red cuffs, with white breeches, white stockings. Again, just hand painted flags. They don't stand up to a lot of scrutiny, but. Again, I mix up the command stand. Sometimes I'll have the sergeant with him. Sometimes that's the one with obviously the halberd. Sometimes I'll put him in the firing line, telling them what to do, or sometimes with the pikes, and I just mix them up a bit. And I also mix obviously some of the poses up as well. Is our pike block. Sorry for the bits of grass still stuck to them. They're fresh off the flop box. And I should say that's Henry, I can never pronounce this, it's Henry Bellassis, which is Bellassis. And again, some of these Williamite regiments, they literally changed commanders, and obviously it's before they were really given official numbers. Obviously they were numbered first before they became county regiments and that, with more county connections, I should say. So they were always named after the commanding officer, and often that officer, whether through death or through buying a different regiment or falling out of favour or being moved to the Low Countries, that, you know, a regiment might have 3 or 4 and be known by 3 or 4 names in the space of a year or more, or a couple of years. Now, again, I've enjoyed doing those. This is just one of these slumbering projects. It just, I do bits when I want to. I keep saying I'm not that far from it, and I'm not. I've got roads, I've got rivers. The rivers I'm not massively happy with, not on how they're constructed. And I knew I wouldn't be. They just need a repaint. I don't like the bright blue that they've come up. They would, I bought them as, so I need to just paint over those and give them a varnish. So I need to do those. I need to make some marshes, because there's a load of bogs, and obviously in Ireland. And a lot of the terrain was restricted by single corduroy roads that they had to use. So I need some bogs just to denote obviously marshy ground, especially for horse, stopping horse riding straight across it. And I also need, as I say, some type of linear, like hills of some description. Not massively looking forward to making those, because it's a lot of work for what I'll be using them for. But as I say, the price of these battle mats for what I do it just isn't worth me paying that type of money for them. So guys, thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. It was nice to show some 10mm for a change. It's something I haven't done in a long while. And we will catch each other very soon on another video. You take care of yourselves. Cheers.